I want to be a cleric that's a chef. And my god is the god of food. My god is Gordon Ramsay.
That's a warlock patron, and we all
It could be.
Ram's eye.
It depends on how you pray. That's the only difference between a warlock and a cleric.
Oh my
You haven't cleaned this kitchen in a millennia!
All right, just gonna check the game mechanics email. Oh, hell yeah! New Unearthed Arcana. Feats. I love feats. All right, let's see what we got here. What could be a chef? Okay, love that. What else? Oh, whoa, that's a lot of magic, but okay. Wait, is this just a class feature? Well, okay, sure. I'll take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Feeling pretty good about myself. Wait, what's that sound? Ah, damn it. Guys, the tentacles are back.
Before we get into this talking shop called what? Slickie Quickie?
An unacceptable Slickie Quickie.
I don't like that. But
Well,
here we are.
You're partially responsible.
You said, Slickie, you are responsible for the worst part of it.
May I turn your attention to the photo that I just sent you boys on your cellular Android friends? I want you to look at this photo and tell me what you find cursed. Try to tell me what is cursed about this image. I am going to give some context. This is a photo taken from...
I hate this so much already.
A photo taken from the before times of a restaurant. What's that restaurant's name, Jonah?
Brogen's.
So number one, we have an issue right off the bat.
Brogen is...
This is a sort of promotional image on the restaurant's own menu that they have sort of cobbled together, and it looks very summery.
Come on to Brogen's!
You see, like, salads and sandwiches and stuff
way
like that.
too many people wedged in.
So, tell me, guys, first describe the scene and tell me what you think is cursed about it.
Okay, well, so the look of the sort of restaurant itself looks less like a restaurant and more like a farmer's market stand, but on steroids and multi-tiered.
Steroids?
On steroids.
Let's start that combative energy early.
Take a big whiff.
This is our
Take
villagers warm-up.
A big old whiff.
You're right, though. There's like a weird farm stand Amish kind of feel to Brogen's Loadhouse.
Also, there is an apostrophe, so the name of the place is Brogen is.
Brogen is.
No, it's possessive.
Is it?
Actually, it is both. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is really confusing.
But I think that in
I
this
don't
context,
like
it's
it.
probably Brogen is.
I assume it was wrong.
Right.
There's a Georgia fan.
There is a Georgia
That's
fan.
pretty gross to me.
Now, where's the Georgia fan?
The Georgia fan is in the bottom left corner.
I see. Yes.
It looks like we've got a few Georgia fans here.
I'm sure.
I think you
of
guys,
the old UGA.
you are on the correct path for determining what is specifically cursed about this universe that Brogen is putting forward. Continue to look at the individuals that are, like bar patrons? Or it is specifically something about the image that they have chosen for their menu.
Is it this girl in red's arm and / or hand
Now,
that looks broken?
you're talking about the woman on the top left.
No, I'm
The
talking about the
bottom
woman
left.
under the R,
Under the R.
whose hand looks broken.
It does look strange. I think she's playing an invisible piano, but that is not...
There's also this woman holding her knee.
Now, that woman.
And this little girl that's staring into the barrel of the camera.
She's just like looking right into it, huh?
It looks a little bit like The Last Supper, that group, doesn't it?
A little bit.
There's a little bit of
It
like
does have a little bit of a Last Supper vibe to
Yeah,
it.
and then you got the other little girl, real Judas
You
over
guys
there.
are so close. Please keep examining Brogen's Loadhouse.
Did it take you this? I mean, there's a lone Texas fan in here.
You are on the track.
Texas fan. There's also a second person also clasping her knee in the exact same fashion on the opposite side of the image.
Examine that group of people.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
Did they just flip it?
They flipped it and changed the colors, but it's the same.
They have copy and pasted and palette swapped individuals within Brogen's Loadhouse and pasted them onto the other side of Brogen's Loadhouse to make it seem like Brogen's Loadhouse is very well populated.
No.
This is a universe filled with duplicates.
No.
With doppelgangers. Look, the little girl that you talked about, how she's looking directly at the camera.
I mean, there's two of them. There's the one, another
Yes.
one on the exact same side, but with the opposite arm. Oh no.
They know.
She's aware.
She's aware. Death is a circle.
Death is a circle.
Also, right underneath the O and the E, there is a woman who has been flash cloned
And then like directly like two
To her
steps
right.
over is her, but
Right.
like in a different.
Yeah.
Now here's what.
What does this imply?
Whoa!
I'm trying to wrap the old noodle around this, fellas, and I don't know that it is a possibility.
Brogans, come here. You want to die?
You'll never leave.
You'll never leave. We'll clone you.
Brogans.
Never go to Brogen Is.
Confront yourself.
Unless Brogan's wants to sponsor us. In which case, Brogan's, good eats, good fun.
Andrew, you're psychic. This brings me to the sponsor copy of the episode.
Oh.
Brogan's is a family-friendly island festival atmosphere.
No, continue.
No, that's it. That's all I got.
No, that's our official sponsor.
Where they'll
is
clone
Brogen's
you?
Loadhouse.
We are the official tabletop RPG podcast of Brogan's Loadhouse.
Don't you love Brogan's Loadhouse, other Andrew? Yes, I do, Andrew.
Anyway, boys.
You know, the good thing about Brogen's Loadhouse is you don't have to worry about like not having a date when you go out there.
Not having friends?
Not having friends.
Just more of you. All you want to talk about is what you want to talk about.
That's true.
God, yeah.
I always need a group to play D&D with. Why not myself 5 times?
Yeah.
I would hate that.
He's like, I can't.
Too much of one. This is like, there's too much salt in this.
I
Like,
agree.
Too much pepper. D&D is like a fine cuisine. So let's talk about those spices that are ruining the meals.
Well, except
Welcome
for the
to Unearthed
spices.
Arcana.
Except for the spices in the chef feet. Those are the only acceptable
And
spices.
except for this protein for those fighters.
Yeah.
That's the only acceptable fight is
So,
protein
boys.
powder.
We'll ignore the arsenic though.
Right. Not to take too strong a hand, and thank you for going with me on the Brogan's Loadhouse.
It was a journey.
Lead us, Joe.
This is a very short Unearthed Arcana. It's Unearthed Arcana 2020 Feats.
The Slickie Quickie.
The Slickie Quickie. That's our edition. I was thinking we would have a very, what's
Go
the
for
word?
it. Condensed.
Condensed thing. And
Sharp,
here's what I'm
fine.
saying. Maybe I read these
Precise.
feats, and every time that you find something objectionable or that you want to talk about or comment, stop me violently.
Okay.
And we will stop and discuss.
I will
How
give you a
violent?
Slickie Quickie sound if I require
That's
speech.
That's not.
If there's one thing I can rely on you for, it's a Slickie Quickie sound. Just to make things a little crazier, I'm going to set a timer. So we got to keep our eye on the ball with regards to this Slickie Quickie.
see.
Does that sound okay?
Go for it.
Sure.
So, Unearthed Arcana 2020 Feats. This is playtest material. It was a spark your imagination. Da 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 da. We're going to start off with Artificer Initiate in 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to stop you right there. This is bullshit. Keep going.
You've learned some of an artificer's inventiveness, granting you the following benefits. You learn one cantrip of your choice from the artificer spell list. You learn one first-level spell of your choice from that list. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for these spells. You can cast this feat's first-level spell without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way. Again, you can also cast the spell using any spell slots you just already have. In addition, you gain proficiency with one type of artisan's tools of your choice, and you can use that type of tool as a spellcasting focus for any spell you cast that uses intelligence as its spellcasting ability.
So it's pretty much Magic Initiate, but you swap out a cantrip for a tool proficiency that you can use as your spellcasting focus.
I didn't ask for this, but I guess somebody did.
That's fine. Yeah. It's not bullshit. It's not as bullshit as I said it was, because I got it confused. I thought it was the things that are coming
Yes.
up on the other side of this page.
Oh, no,
I can feel the tentacles.
The tentacles are coming.
But, yeah, no.
No, I don't know.
It's
I don't,
not terrible. It's just I don't know why you would ever take it.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're gonna go that way, like you'd be better served by just like at least a level dip in Artificer,
Like
or
a
just be
level.
an Artificer.
This to me is it like only exists for like I want to be a level 20 wizard, but I also want to be good at like
Tinkering and like making
tinkering
some
something,
stuff.
which could be cool,
Yeah.
awesome. You want to be like that's awesome, or like a cleric. I want to
you
cast
want to make
spells
Pokeballs.
with my blacksmith hammer.
I think it's just unnecessarily granular. That's
Yeah,
the only thing I'll
for
say
sure.
about it. This next one, the single best feat in the entire thing, that's the only editorializing I'll do. Chef. Time and effort spent mastering the culinary arts has paid off. You gain the following benefits. Increase your con or whiz score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You gain proficiency with cook's utensils if you don't already have it. As part of a short rest, you can cook special food, provided you have ingredients and cook's utensils on hand. You can prepare enough of this food for a number of creatures equal to 4 plus proficiency bonus. At the end of the short rest, any creature who eats the food and spends 1 or more hit die to regain hit points regains an extra 1d8 hit points. With 1 hour of work, or when you finish a long rest, you can cook a number of sweety treaties equal to your proficiency bonus. These special treaties last 8 hours after being made. A creature can use a bonus action to eat one of these treaties to gain temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. Fuck yeah.
I
Yeah.
will take this John Favreau ass feat so fast.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay!
Love it.
Yes.
It's so good.
Because Gourmand is like, again, this is a game where we've talked about this before, where Gourmand and Sentinel are equally weighted.
Right.
In terms of like progression.
And what it costs you to take them.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that sucks.
Slapping the con or whiz bump onto that, perfect.
It's not huge. Maybe it is
But
huge.
no, it is huge. If it wasn't on there,
Yeah.
even if you were a chef, even if your whole character was like, I'm a chef.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take it. You take Tavern Brawler and be like, I beat people with this pan.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? With this, right, you could be like, I'm a bard. I'm going to bump my constitution with this.
Oh, my
but, like,
God.
my bardic magic is food.
Yes.
Right?
Needs
So, like,
I'm Ratatouille magics.
instead of having to worry about, like, oh, I don't want to sing in front of my friends, I get to be like, I hand you a cookie. That's inspiration, bitch.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
This
it's so
character is
good.
viable and fun.
You just
so good.
cracked it open for me. I already loved it, but now you just made me realize that if a bard could take it, anybody could take
Correct.
this feat. And everybody needs con.
Right,
You know?
everybody, every
That's what's-
single person.
That's what is so good about it. But, like, also wisdom, right? So, like, in the same context of, like, oh, I want to be a cleric that's, like, good at, like, using tools or whatever. I want to be a cleric that's a chef. And my god is the god of food. My god is Gordon
play
Ramsay.
that.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
That's a warlock patron, and we all
It
know.
could be.
Ram's eye.
It depends on how you pray. That's the only difference between a warlock and a cleric. Is do you swear fealty to it, or are you in a bargain with it? That's the whole thing.
You haven't cleaned this kitchen in a millennia!
I take away all your powers.
Love it. Anything else?
That's it.
Moving forward.
No,
Crusher.
only praise. Only praise for it.
Praise is up. Crusher. This is one of the beginning of a sort of, I guess, like a genre of this feat.
Which I dig.
Which I dig, and Andrew, I think, digs as well.
Yep.
You are practiced in the art of crushing your enemies and seeing them driven before you, granting you the following benefits. Increase your strength or
Crush your
dexterity
enemies.
by 1 to a maximum of 20.
I knew it was coming.
Tawny skinned. Once per turn.
Hither come.
When you hit a creature with an attack that deals bludgeoning damage, you can move it.
Bludgeoning.
You can move it 5 feet to an unoccupied space, provided the target is no more than one size larger than you.
It's French.
When you score a critical hit that deals bludgeoning damage to a creature, attack rolls against that creature are made with advantage until the end of your next turn. Wow.
I'm here for
Awesome.
it. I dig it. I dig it.
Cool.
Because we're giving more stuff to martial classes that lets them do things that are more interesting outside of I hit it. It's I do this when I hit it. I hit
Correct.
it in this way.
You are also, to me, I think the biggest thing that these feats do, and I'm going to address it now so that we can skip through the other ones really quickly. You are making weapons have meaning.
Yep.
Yes.
Right? Before these feats, right? Weapons don't have meaning other than what class of weapon it is. Like,
Yeah.
is it a sword and shield? Axe and shield, hammer and shield.
Right.
It's all the same.
Doesn't matter.
Right? The only difference is for some reason there's one two-handed axe that does a d12 and there's a two-handed sword that does 2d6.
Right.
And there is no reason why that's like there. Like, as a DM, I think it is perfectly fine for a player to be like, my aesthetic is like a sword, but I'd really like I like two-handed swords, but I would much rather do a d12 than 2d6, right? So it's like,
Okay, sure.
cool, you have a bigger sword. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You just get a
cool,
bigger.
you've got a Final Fantasy Buster
Buster
sword.
sword.
Like, it's fine. These feats distinguish it, right? Like, so now as a level 20 fighter, right? If I hit with my first hammer attack, the next 3 attacks and my action surge are all at advantage
Oh yeah, if you crit on
because I'm using a hammer.
Dude,
it, which is awesome.
when you score a critical hit, attack rolls against that creature are made with advantage. That's everyone's attack rolls.
Yeah, it's not just
Right.
yours. It's
That's
until your next turn.
Right,
You're
like,
setting your buds up.
cussing it.
Yeah.
But like that right there. This feat is a reason to play with a hammer.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it has now made, okay, as a fight choreographer, I love these feats because you're starting to get into the world of like, what is a weapon's intended purpose?
Right. Yeah.
Right? What does an axe do that's different than a sword that's different from a hammer? They all were different.
Whenever you watch like I don't know, like a sword and board or a fantasy one, there is a there is a real narrative difference between the guy with the sword and the guy with the hammer.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the thing and the roles that they do. And you're absolutely right that until feats like this. In D&D,
This doesn't matter.
Really, no mechanical
the only mechanical thing I can think of is like resistances.
Correct.
That's it.
Like bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing.
Which-
but at
which
the end
come
of
up
the day,
so rarely as opposed to like an elemental or like magical sort of resistance that it really is not most of the time, unless it's like, oh man, here's this rock creature.
Yeah.
Too bad I have a sword and not a hammer. Like outside of that specific circumstance.
guess I'll
like,
use anything else.
That's like
Right.
the one thing I can think of, because otherwise it's usually always resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing.
Yeah,
I
all
mean,
of
like skeletons, I think, or like undead, like bone people or whatever, are immune to slashing but not crushing or
I
bludgeoning.
think they're piercing.
Not. Oh yeah, piercing.
it just goes right through those ribs.
Right.
But
Which
like,
makes sense.
And I said this off air, and I'll say it again real fast, because then I'll be done with all of these martial classes things. I don't have to say anything else really on them. It also helps differentiate what players want,
Yeah.
right? If I have a player that is like, I'm really into like this hammer aesthetic, then I know, like, cool, if I introduce a magic hammer, everyone in the room can kind of read, oh, it's for so-and-so.
Right.
Versus
and not be like, this is mine.
Currently in the game, right, you can have one person that's like, but I want that, and it can very quickly become like bullying at the table of like,
Well, why don't you
but
do
I
this?
always get the magic
Yeah.
but so-and-so always gets the magic weapon. It's usually a rogue, right? But like, if you have somebody that's good
At
with
smashing.
a hammer, then when the hammer shows up, everyone's going to be like, well, give it to so-and-so, it'll keep me alive
Right.
until I can find a dagger, because I'm good at dagger.
Right.
It's brilliant in the sense of like, we're diversifying what players can do without flattening by making the diversification into things that other players can do.
That's the thing, right?
Right? Like,
that's the major
if I take Crusher,
balance.
that's new to me. Hey, Joe, why don't you read that next feat?
Eldritch Adept. Prerequisite: spellcasting or pack magic feature. We've had it so good till this point. Studying occult lore, you have unlocked eldritch power within yourself. You learn one eldritch invocation option of your choice from the warlock class. If the invocation has a prerequisite, you can choose that invocation only if you're a warlock and only if you meet the prerequisite. Whenever you gain a level, you can replace the invocation with another one from the warlock class. Okay. So this seems like taking a feature from a class that makes that class unique.
And giving it to anyone that wants it.
Yeah.
Because does it have a prerequisite? You just have to be able to cast a spell.
At all. Yeah.
It's not like a
Doop,
Cha
doop.
specific.
Nope.
It's not
Which means an arcane trickster can take this. That means I can go 20 levels in arcane trickster and also be able to change my face whenever I want.
Right.
or take like Devil's Sight.
Or take Devil's Sight and be able to see in any form of darkness. And as a rogue, be like, darkness. Ha ha ha.
And
No
what
one
did
can touch me.
What did it cost you?
Nothing.
Two decks? Two
decks that
con?
you probably already got maxed
Yeah.
out by the point you're thinking about taking this.
That's a little fucking nuts.
See, like, feats like this make the alternative human,
The variant human.
variant.
the variant human, thank you, that was the word I was looking for, the most OP class in the game.
Yeah.
Because I can give this to my rogue at level 1, and I can take Mask of Many Faces, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't have anything that's going to really complement, like, anything else, right?
Right.
So I'll take Mask of Many Faces, which is going to get me through 1 through 3 real nice.
Real
I'm
easy.
going to have it before a Warlock. If there's a Warlock in the group, I will literally have it at level 1. They'll have to wait till level 2 to get it. And then when I hit level 3 and I take Arcane Trickster and I get some spells, I can change it out at any level that I want because I can also just change it whenever. Like,
So you couldn't if you were the variant human, you couldn't take it at 1 because it has the spell requirement
That is
in this
my
specific
fault.
example.
Yes.
Unless
but,
you were a wizard or
yeah.
something else.
Well, unless you were like, well, no, you couldn't take it because you'd have to be the variant human to take the race because they're, I was thinking about like races that have some inherent spellcasting.
Right.
But
Right. So like,
but
like
still, once you hit level 3,
again, like
Yeah,
it's only
pop
3
off.
levels in, and you can
do whatever.
tear the
fuck.
world up.
Yeah.
But like also, I really hate the whenever you get a level you can change something. I really kind of despise it.
Yeah.
I get that it's supposed to be like, hey, you made a mistake.
yeah.
You can remedy your mistake. I'm
that's the
happy
thought,
that it's
right?
I'm happy that it's at least at levels
And not like
versus
long
like
rest.
any long rest.
Right.
Just change how you're. But like, what does this mean for the world?
Yeah.
Like, did you talk to Cthulhu?
And then you're like, I need to talk to Cthulhu a little bit more.
Every
but not like
level?
a warlock amount.
Yeah,
Just like a little bit.
What is that? That doesn't mean. That makes warlocks mean nothing because like, if you have any interaction
Yeah.
with that deity.
You're in.
Like that, you know what I mean? Like as
you
a
are
DM,
as a leaf before them.
correct. If I was a DM and somebody took this,
Oh yeah.
I would very much be like, oh, okay, let's talk about where your character's going.
Yeah, it's
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Because I'm gonna talk whoever you took it from, and I'm not gonna let you pick.
right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It's gonna come from
as
the
a
story.
warlock, yeah, you get to pick.
Yeah.
You get to pick who you talking to a fiend, you talking to a fae, you talking to a
Yeah,
celestial.
you make your
dude.
Faustian bargain.
Yeah. If you take
Those
this
you
in my
boys.
game, guess what? You're talking to like Belial, the god of Satan. Like you're like
Brogen himself.
I'm gonna
Brogen.
Brogan's about to copy paste your ass across this campaign.
You
like,
were going to be plane shifted to Brogan's Loadhouse.
you know what I mean? Like
You just gave me the best idea for a horror one shot.
but you know what I mean? Like that is how I feel in the sense of like there are certain like Crusher.
Right.
That beautiful feat we talked about before, right?
The
I
warmth.
believe that any fighter can be like, I train with my hammer. This is my hammer, and there is no hammer like it. It is my hammer, and it's special.
It's a good
right?
hammer.
Like that you just hit a level, and you're like, it's fine. I just got back from talking to Jeebus, and he's giving me like he gave me a really cool power. Don't even worry about it. And the warlock in your party's like, what the fuck? I'm over here praying to Satan over here, and you just got to dip in and be like, "Hey, Jeebus, can I
just get a
change
little
my
bit of
face
juice?
every day?"
Just a little bit of juice.
Like,
Hey, no, yeah, you're cool. Hey, that's some good shit.
it's nonsense.
I
to
just
me.
need you to kill this alligator. for
Anywho,
me.
we've spent way too much time on that.
I think we needed to because we're gonna come across a lot of different things, and I wanna seed this in your little brain mind gardens real quick, right? The little Zen gardens of your brains.
A lot of sand.
This one, luckily, doesn't also have an ASI.
correct.
Right?
True. Oh no.
Crusher had an ASI, which is just that lovely little make it even more worth it. Let me finish this.
Yes.
Chef as well makes it totally worth it.
Yeah.
Even Artificer Initiate, like I would say, is like, okay, you don't really need an ASI with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same level as Magic Initiate.
It seems like in this system, as it's been laid out, the feat system, one of the band-aids that you can do to make a subpar feat a good feat is just straight up an ASI.
Yeah, just give it one.
Don't answer now. Do you think that Eldritch Adept would be better with a feat drawback? To make it more like a trait, and you have to take it at the expense of either a vulnerability to a certain type of damage, the DM's choice, or a loss of a point in an ability score. Because like with Warlocks, what you're describing is there is a pact, there is a transaction
Correct.
being made. This is like Jeebus is like, hey, what's up? Now
This is
you
like
can-
skirting the transaction. It's
You can
like
talk to
I
animals.
found this in a book.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what book? You know what I mean? Like,
Where did you find
it
this
has
book?
so much implications to what the campaign is.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind this as a feat.
No, 'cause
functionally,
invocations are
like,
cool.
Invocations are cool. They're actually how I think every class should level up.
Yeah.
Is feature based. Like I actually
From
think
a menu.
feats- Yeah, it really. I think it would make it more complicated. But like,
That's what Pathfinder did.
do the first 5 levels
Yeah.
of a class as standard, and then the classes break off at that point.
I think that'd be really cool.
Right? But like I like Eldritch Adept. It's just like I don't trust the vast majority of DMs that are going to have this show up in their campaign or players, right? Like I think it's cool, but I also think it's something that like as a DM you could already be doing. If
Right.
there's a player that shows interest in like the occult, right? You can absolutely throw a feat their way and write down your own costs of what that's going to cost them. There didn't need to be a feat for it that any player can just be like, well, but the rules say that I just get it and there's no drawback. Yes, Joe, I do think it would be infinitely better if there was. I just don't think anyone would take it.
Spoilers for episode 2 of Bound. Ma'at has given you guys access to the Mask of Many Faces.
Like invocation, essentially. That we
right.
have like shared between the group.
There is a story reason for this ability being given to a barbarian and a sorcerer.
Right.
And as such, there's also like a cost, not really, but like a narrative cost in that this is now the story of you guys helping Ma'at do something.
Yeah,
right?
we are bound to him.
Right. There is
Oh my God!
there is some kind of transaction happening here, even if it's not like you have tentacles growing out of your ears and eyes.
Correct.
Right,
It's like
right.
you
He made a deal.
So,
you're,
like-
you're doing a job for somebody.
Yeah, if you have a DM that's like, somebody wants to take this and you're like, cool, let's sit down and talk about like how you obtain this,
Yeah.
right? I think most people would probably just end up being like, I'd rather just take a level in Warlock at that point, right?
Right.
Like, Why not? We're not doing good.
We're doing okay. Let's keep it rolling, though.
Keep it rolling. It's an okay feat, but it
Needs
messes
cost.
it messes
needs
up
cost.
the world.
All I would say is, like, imagine all of these diseased feats that we're about to talk about if they had some sort of cost as opposed to being the most buck-wild power jumps possible.
Oh, you mean like the next one?
The next
Fey
one.
touched.
Fey touched. Which this is crazy to me because they knocked the Fey Wanderer Ranger out of the goddamn park, right? And then they do this. Your exposure to the Feywild or one of its denizens has left a magical mark on you. You gain the following benefits. Increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20.
No.
Jesus. You learn the Misty Step spell, 2nd level spell, and 1 1st level spell of your choice.
2 and 1.
What? The 1st level spell must be from the Divination or Enchantment School of Magic. Okay, interesting. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of these spells in this way, you can't cast it again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast them using spell slots that you have of the appropriate level. The spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat. This is insane, and we don't really need to spend too much time on it. Let's vent. It's bad.
Warlocks and sorcerers,
Yeah.
right? Like, I pick up an extra spell,
Right.
right? Like, because two extra spells, and you know what? I'm gonna say it. It's a perfectly fine feat. It's actually a perfectly fine feat, except for that ABSI at the top, because holy hell.
Yeah.
That you get a 2nd level and a 1st level spell that you can each cast once per day.
And cast
For a
using your other spells.
warlock. To have an
extra
one of the
spell.
things I always do when I plan a warlock character, right?
Yeah.
Is Misty Step.
Yeah.
You have to have it. You have to have an escape button. Any class that can cast Misty Step, get that spell. It's a get out of jail free card
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you save it in your pocket for
Misty
the right
Step
time.
or whatever the equivalent of, like,
Right.
higher level up,
But, like,
Warlock. It's like, okay, now Dimension Door, now whatever.
My
Like,
thing
but
with
that
Misty
get
Step
out.
that makes it so good,
Yeah.
right, is
Bonus action?
is it a bonus
It
action?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bonus action, but also, which means you can use it and attack if you're a fighting class. But, like, the thing that really gets me with Misty Step is anything that grapples you, you can insta-get out of it
Yeah.
because you dissipate,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't, I think the requirements for casting it are, like, super nothing as well.
Oh, no.
I
yeah.
think it's just spoken, maybe?
I don't even
can't
think
remember.
it's that. I think it's a somatic.
Regardless, that is such a powerful spell to throw into a feat, but that's fine. I actually think it's awesome that any character could get Misty Step.
I agree.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a 1st level spell, especially because you made it divination and enchantment, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
there's
you've
not
reined
like,
it in. It's
I'm
not like you get
gonna
an evocation for
pick
free.
magic missile or you know what I mean. Like, this is good. It's just that you're like, also let's throw an ASI in there. You didn't need it. You didn't need that in there.
That's what pushes it into you don't know what the fuck this means.
Right.
Right. Like where with the intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, which is first of all a bonkers range of the only important spellcasting stats, it's a massive fucking power bump for any hexblade or any, ranger even.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying rangers don't need
a paladin who's not vengeance or
it.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, now they have like the single best short range teleport in the game.
But also any paladin in the sense that you also you as a paladin need things that bump those
Yeah.
skills because you're dealing with that skill challenge. It's one of the challenges of playing a paladin.
If this was available, there is no paladin that I would not take this. The only paladin I wouldn't take this spell with would be a vengeance paladin because they already have Misty Step.
Right.
Like this is, it's a bad feat when there are no other good options, like as good as it. And I think that's all I have to say
Yeah.
about it.
If it didn't have the ASI, okay, because it's like Magic Initiate, but you traded out 2 cantrips that you could use whenever for 1 second
Correct.
level that you use once per day. I think that would be
And
fair.
it's a defined 2nd level.
Yeah.
It's not like here's Scorching Ray, right? Now, I'll say Misty Step will never become not useful.
I think
at
that's a
any
good
point.
trade though, because
Yeah.
cantrips. I mean, the sheer
Are so
the
useful.
versatility.
Yeah. But I agree. I do think that the feat as it is not completely diseased.
It's not trash. It's just once you put an ASI on top of it, it's like,
It's like,
why
what
would
are
I
we
take
doing?
anything else?
Yeah. Fighting Initiate. Prerequisite proficiency with a martial weapon. Interesting. Just one. You don't need all of them. Your martial training has helped you develop a particular style of fighting. As a result, you learn one fighting style option of your choice from the fighter class. If you already have a style, the one you choose must be different. Whenever you gain a level, you can replace this feat's fighting style with another one from the fighter class that you don't have.
I don't know why there's not a single ASI bump with this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is
based on the last feat.
It's ridiculously mislevel or mis.
It is clear what are the classes that get a fighting style: Ranger, Fighter,
Paladin.
Yeah, that's it. I think they wanted to give them like you've trained, as opposed to like the Barbarian, which is like you just are relentless. Like you're just too much power. That's untrained. And I think they put way more weight on fighting styles than they actually should have. Fighting styles are really good.
They are.
Don't get me wrong. Like the two-handed one, being able to re-roll, getting extra damage on dueling, making a sword and shield.
The ranged one.
Right? The archery one, which is arguably so good.
Yeah.
Right? These are all good things, but they're not that game-breaking when you look at martial classes.
It's not a feat.
As a whole. Like, it's not a feat by itself.
Yeah.
It really, like, this to me really needs... I have this in my D&D Beyond in my feats that I've made.
Yeah, and it's been there for long before this
I've had it, for like 2 years now. But I made sure that it's like... The prerequisite is not any martial weapon, because, I don't buy that. I think the prerequisite should be the same as taking a level in Fighter.
It should be like a strength or dex 13
or dex, strength or dex 13,
I
right?
agree.
Like, it needs to be something.
Yeah.
Because I don't want, like...
You're looking for a problem?
Shit, right? Where
like a Hexblade who's dumped their strength?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, okay, well, but I'm also, like, it'd be, like, and...
It's like, how did you train? You're made out of sticks.
Sure, whatever. But, like, but even, like...
The sword told me how.
Hey, I'm the wizard that uses... I'm the sorcerer that's... I got one martial proficiency because of my elf race, because I'm a fucking elf, right? So, but now I'm really good at swords. Now, mind you, that player's gonna die because you're playing a sorcerer and you're wasting a feat on this shit.
You mean like a sorcerer who's really good with axes? Like a dwarf sorcerer who's really good with axes?
I'm talking about Gish, Blade Singer nonsense.
Hello, friends. Jonah here to say thank you for listening to this episode of Talkin' Shop. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our amazing partner, not Brogen's Loadhouse, the other one, Dice Envy. They're still rolling out more of their new draconian dice sets. They just released the latest one, which is, in fact, the best one of all of them. And it just feels so on brand for this episode that I'm going to read the copy because it's way better than anything that I could come up with to say at this point. Enjoy Mountain Dew Dragon.
XX Baja Blast XX13 is the first of a new and terrifying mutation of Chromatic Dragon. His pale scales are the same sickly green of the pools of glowing acid that fuel and deepen his lair. He spits bile and vitriol as a breath weapon, magically amplified across the long miles of his domain by hollow horns that curl into twisted spirals from his crown down toward his cruel mouth. Beware, traveler, of dark caves that stink of Cool Ranch and candy-flavored vape, lest XX Baja Blast XX13's mocking GG-easy be the last words you ever hear.
I feel like I need to eat some vegetables after that. If you're looking to add to your dice hoard, you can get 10% off of your purchase at Dice Envy by going to diceenvy.com/questco or by using promo code QuestCo at checkout. That's QUESTCO for 10% off of your entire order. If you're a fan of the Quest Company, please do us a favor and go to our page over on the Apple Podcasts app or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave us a rating and review. It's a huge help to us, and we read every review that comes in, and getting more of those is a big help, a big boost to our visibility. And if you really love what we do here at the Quest Company and you would like to take that next step in supporting us, please consider becoming a Patreon subscriber. For as little as $2 a month, you can help us with necessary expenses, help us continue to improve the quality of the show, and get access to exclusive content and patron rewards. If you'd like to give us that support, you could do so at patreon.com/questcompanypodcast. You can find the link to the Patreon on our website, questcompanypodcast.com. If you'd like to contact us, you could do so directly through our website or by finding us on Instagram and Twitter at The Quest Company. You can also come hang out with us in our Discord. If you need links to any of those things, go check out our website. It's all there. We know that word of mouth is the best way to get people listening to a new podcast, and that is especially true for shows like ours. We don't do paid ads anywhere, and us posting on our own social media is really only going to get us so far. That is to say, not very. But if you tell your friends about us, they are so much more likely to listen because they trust you already. So please, if you enjoy the show, tell your friends. We'd love to see you posting about the podcast using hashtag #TheQuestCompany. And if you post about us, just make sure when you post to tag us so that we can see it. Tagging us really is the best way to make sure we see the stuff you post and to guide folks directly to us. I'd like to thank Joe Lightus for editing this episode, along with the artist whose music is featured in it. Thank you to Doug Maxwell for the song Swing Bada Bing. Thank you to David Hilowitz for the song The Bridge Horror. And thank you to Vans in Japan for the song Gray Flannel. Ambient sounds by tabletopaudio.com. Additional sound design by Slappy and New Age Soup. That's all for me, so let's get back to the expert analysis. I hope you could hear those finger quotes. Thank you for joining us here at the Quest Company.
My wizard's really good at swords, but also really good at level 20 magic. I'm everything.
Right.
It is what it is. It needs an ASI.
I think so.
That's all.
Yeah. Gunner, you have a quick hand and keen eye when employing firearms, granting you the following benefits.
Yes.
Increase your dex score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You gain proficiency with firearms. See Firearms in the Dungeon Master's Guide. You ignore the loading property of firearms. Being within 5 feet of a hostile creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls. I don't know what firearms are in D&D. What do they do?
They're very hackneyed. It's basically like a modified hand crossbow, right? It just takes longer to reload. The thing I love about this is I love Mercer's gunslinger fighter class. I love it. I think it's really well thought out and really well made. And I also love his rules for firearms. If you combine this with the stuff that he's done already, I think it can make for like really fun ranged character. The thing I love about the gunslinger, right, is as a rogue, you don't want to necessarily be a gunslinger because of all the noise.
Right.
But so like a fighter that's a gunner,
pow, pow.
That shit's awesome. That shit's awesome for like Salt Marsh.
He's the fastest draw in the West.
Right? Like
Dark Tower,
if
baby.
you want to do a Western D&D, like this is like something that's really cool.
Or like a
pirates.
sea captain.
Or
Exactly.
pirates, anything like that's why I was like Salt Marsh, right? Like that you could have just a gunner, right? You could be like the dude that sits in the crow's nest with the sniper rifle. Like there are some really cool things you can do with this class or with this feat, especially with Mercer's gunslinger.
Now, I assume that aside from like proficiency with firearms, that the other stuff, ignoring the loading property and being within 5 feet doesn't impose disadvantage, that those are not like properties that the gunslinger already has.
The only one I think that the gunslinger has is the ignoring the loading property of firearms.
Well, because that's what
I believe firearms
expert is required for, right?
Well, I believe firearms in D&D take like a round to reload, if I'm recalling it correctly, which I may not be.
I was just trying to think of like what you, if you were like the gunslinger class, what you would actually get from this. Like, are you only getting the dexterity bump and not having disadvantage, like on stuff that's up close?
Well, probably.
No. Load. I know this actually. Loading, as it refers to crossbow, whatever loading may be in the DMG for firearms, loading as in crossbows means like a hand crossbow. You have to have crossbow expert in order not
it's a bonus action
to
every
have
turn,
more
right?
than 2 attacks, because loading requires a bonus action.
Yeah.
Right. So the only way that a crossbow fighter works is if you have crossbow expert and you can shoot, load, shoot.
But what I like about this feat, though, is it allows you to not just be a gunslinger as well, right? Like, I could be a champion fighter with this.
Yeah.
Right, which means I crit on a 19 and 20 with my gun. I don't remember if that's melee specific. But, like, I could be a battle master gunner. I could be I could be a tactician with a gun. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you have a DM who's willing to get a little nasty, you could be an arcane archer, air quote, gunslinger.
I've got the beast in my sights.
You could literally, if you want to go full fucking Dark Tower, you could use Matt Mercer's Echo Knight, and you could have you using guns and your shadow 30 feet away from you using guns. And like, you know what I mean? Like,
you could be a ranger with guns.
You could be a ranger with guns.
I love that.
You could literally be
Craven?
Patriot.
Oh, yeah.
Like just running through the woods with your hunting rifle. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with this that now I don't have to like commit to a subclass.
Right, you don't have to.
I can be a gun wizard. Just wizard.
Hey,
Wait, you talking about
honestly-
Ulysses Vanderbilt?
Honestly,
I will say
I'm into it.
there should be a prerequisite. I don't know what it is, but like it's a talk with the DM. All of these are a talk with the DM, and it has to be like a given,
as
right?
always, yeah.
I think there are feats that don't have to be talks with a DM. Tavern brawler, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like
I'm taking it.
I'm working on my fists. Like
Boys.
linguist.
I'm going to call it on that one.
We're out of time.
Metamagic Adept. Prerequisite. Spellcasting or pact magic feature. You've learned how to exert your will on your spells to alter how they function. You gain the following benefits. 2 metamagic options from the sorcerer class. You can cast only one on a spell when you cast it unless the option says otherwise. Whenever you gain a level, you can replace one of your metamagic options with another one from the sorcerer class. You gain 2 sorcery points to spend on metamagic. They are added to any points you already have from another source, but can be used only on metamagic. You regain all sorcery points when you finish a long rest.
Why would I ever play a sorcerer ever again?
If you don't have to be a sorcerer, why would you be
Hold
a
up.
sorcerer?
I'm actually going to fight for this one.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's shocking.
Because again, it's another class's feature.
I know. I don't like the classes feature part of it. I wish it was something different. But here's why I don't mind it. You learn 2 metamagic options.
Yes.
That's huge. I actually think this is better for sorcerers than anyone else.
To get extra metamagic?
You get extra metamagic and you get 2 extra things, which makes playing low-level sorcery
way easier.
much easier. Right?
I will give you that because like the only having 2 metamagics for a long time, if that was 4 from this, I would.
Yeah.
I mean,
it makes sorcerers much more interesting.
I'd slap it on McGowan.
Right. Okay, any class that takes this, right? Spellcasting, pact magic, you have to have 1. You got to be able to do magic. I only have 2 sorcery points.
Right.
Most of the fucking metamagics that I'm going to want to take if I don't have a brain set are going to cost 2 sorcery points.
Yeah.
So really, once per long rest, I can do 1.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can quicken a spell once, or I can, like, the reason to play a sorcerer is to get to level 20
And
so that
be
you can
zoom,
bust
zoom,
that
zoom.
shit out all the time.
Right.
One use of it is not huge.
Can I tell you though? I would just say this should be the sorcerer class. You should just get 2 more options and 2 more sorcery points.
I agree.
I feel like
I think it's only for the I think it's built for the sorcerer. I think it actually is built to make the sorcerer a little bit better.
yeah, like less shit,
But-
on its own merits.
But as any other class, I can't see it. It also doesn't have an ASI, which I appreciate
right.
in this, because if it had an ASI, then that would have been my grievance with it.
Yep.
Do you think?
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like
To me, it is so underpowered that
unless you're a sorcerer.
Right.
If I'm a sorcerer that gets this and also a charisma bump, ooh, buddy, this is going to be my human variant.
right.
Yeah, take that at 1.
Like, I'm going to take this at level 1 so that my level 1, I get to be able to bust out something that I'm good at.
Already,
For sure.
yeah.
My level 2, when I get meta magic, but I have nothing to do with it, I can do
you
stuff
have
with
something
it,
to do
you know?
rather than like I have an extra first level spell, I guess.
Like, anywho.
Here's a good little nugget. Piercer,
Hey,
again,
man.
a
Yes.
martial. You have achieved a penetrating precision in combat.
Wink.
Grrr. Granting you the following benefits. Increase your strength or dex by 1 to
It's
a
gonna be
maximum of
dex.
20. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals piercing damage, you can re-roll one of the attack's damage dice, and you must use the new roll. When you score a critical hit that deals piercing damage, you can roll 1 additional damage die when determining the extra piercing damage the target takes. Nice.
Ooh,
It's
I
got-
stab it so good.
It's got flav.
Yeah,
It's
I like
got
it. There's only
usage.
one thing that I would change about it.
What?
And it's tiny. I don't like the language of you must use the new roll. I know it's like I know it's
You
a
should get to
gamble,
choose.
and I'm like a huge gambling person, but make wizards gamble.
Right. Yeah.
Like give martial classes some love.
When
like,
my job is to stab, I hope I stab well. I shouldn't have to gamble again.
Right.
Like, I already gambled on whether I would hit at all.
right.
Yeah, so don't make me be like, oh, it's a 2, but I'm going to see if I can do better.
Like-
Oh, it's a 1.
Which is basically Savage Attacker, right? You're kind of giving Savage Attacker away, but it's to a specified weapon type. Like, Jonah and I were just like, oh, it's probably going to be Dex. And then I was like, well, you know, like, if you're a Paladin
Lance.
or what is it? A Cavalier?
Yeah.
Is that the fighter one?
Oh, yeah, Cavalier.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm using a Lance?
That's cool.
That's fucking awesome for this.
That's
It's
pretty
Like,
dope.
bonkers. Especially if you're...
I'm better at aiming it.
If you've got a javelin, if you're a javelin thrower,
What if a DM is like, I want to do
a mounted campaign.
a mounted tournament,
Oh.
right? Like I've never seen one in a D&D game, and it's like the most iconic fantasy thing.
that would rule.
but
You know
also,
what I mean?
also we're ignoring ranged because this doesn't specify melee.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So
Archers?
arrows?
Yeah.
Crossbows?
This is for archers.
If I have a heavy crossbow and I go, boom.
The critical hit thing is awesome as well.
Yeah.
Like, especially on a mounted, like you said, with a lance. Like, you're getting advantage because frequently you're going to be attacking things that aren't on horseback.
But also, like, it's almost like the barbarian feature in the sense of, like, you get that extra die on the crit.
I love that.
But it's piercing specific.
Oh, you mean the orc? Half-orc?
Barbarians get it as well.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, it's why barbarian
Half-orc
orcs
barbarian
get,
is
like, a ton.
Wild.
But let me finish it.
Sure.
Let me
Yeah, I
finish
got
it,
you.
and we'll be done. The biggest thing I like about this, right, compared to like everything else, is if we look back at Crusher, they didn't just steal when you score a critical hit, all attacks are at advantage.
Yeah.
They came up with something different
flavored,
because the weapon does something different.
Yeah.
Piercing, if you hit them real good, guess what? You hit them real good.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be leaking in that internally, right? Crusher, I stunned them. Everybody else gets advantage. I love that we're diversifying weapons and we're creating new things for feats.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Interesting, complex flavor and mechanics. Love it. Next, Poisoner. You can prepare and deliver deadly poisons, gaining the following benefits. When you make a damage roll, you ignore resistance to poison damage. Cool. You can code a weapon and poison as a bonus action instead of an action. You gain proficiency with a Poisoner's Kit if you don't already have it. With 1 hour of work using a Poisoner's Kit and expending 50 GP worth of materials, you can create a number of doses of potent poison equal to your proficiency bonus. Once applied, the poison retains potency for 1 minute or until you hit with the weapon. When a weapon coated in this poison deals damage to a creature, that creature must succeed on a DC 14 con save throw or take 2d8 poison damage and become poisoned until the end of your next turn.
Hell yeah.
Bonkers.
Hell yeah.
Love it. Obviously, so resistance to poison damage is not invulnerability to poison damage.
Right.
You can't poison a ghost.
Right. But if somebody, like a dwarf, resists poison, you can ignore it.
Love it.
Now, here's my one thing, my one tiny tweak. There we go. That's my Slickie Quickie.
Oh.
My one tiny tweak.
Yeah, we kind of abandoned that.
Back.
I know. I brought it back.
Thank you.
I remembered it. I would rather than just a flat DC 14 con save, I would rather it scaled with like your wisdom or intelligence, whatever you use to craft the poison, so that once you hit high levels, it's not like
Useless.
I
have a similar
have it more be like your spell DC.
A similar feat that I have on my D&D Beyond that somebody made. I wish I could give you credit right now, but it's called like Dirty Fighting, and it's like it's basically like things like throwing sand in the eyes and stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm like, I love that mechanically for like a fighting character. Like that's such a cool like I've learned like the tricks, right? But like I think the DC is like
Pocket sand.
11. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it stays at 11. So you're like, this is a useless feat once I hit level. Yeah. If I'm only playing a 1 through 3 campaign, hell yes.
But once I'm out of tier 1, something is gonna like succeed a DC.
Anything's gonna succeed on that because I think it's also a con save. So like, you know what I mean?
Most commonly, yeah.
Yeah.
But if that scaled better, here for it.
Yeah. Practiced expert. You have honed your proficiency with particular skills or tools, gaining the following benefits. Increase 1 ability score of your choice by 1 to a maximum of 20. You gain proficiency with 1 skill or tool of your choice. Choose one of your skill or tool proficiencies. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses the chosen proficiency. Give me it.
I love it.
Isn't this just Prodigy, but not just for humans?
It's Prodigy, but not just for humans, which means humans probably should have some feats designed because now elves can just get it.
Yeah. But, I've always wanted... But just let me play a guy who's really good at carpentry.
But, like, this to me is why I loved Prodigy, right?
Yeah.
And like, I would probably choose this over Prodigy because, like, the ABSI is, like, so great.
I'd take that over that extra language or whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But, like, I love the job proficiencies that they made in Unearthed Arcana, which I still think should be published. They were wonderful. I know, Joe, we got it. It's coming in. Here's all I'm going to say, right? This means as a variant human, I can have, like, my wizard's just good at books.
Yeah.
I'm really good at Arcana, and I don't have to take I remember everything feat to get that +1.
Right. I don't have to take Keen Mind for
I don't have to take Keen Mind. Keen Mind's great if you're playing I can never think of
Grungus.
Thing that we did, Jonah, that sucks.
The thing that we did that sucks?
Yes, and I can never remember it. D&D, but on a broad scope across the country.
Oh, Adventures League.
Adventures League. Thank you. It doesn't suck. Ours just did.
We just had a bad experience.
But like, I don't have to take Keen Mind, which is not going to be useful
in
that game because no DM is going to care that you know what I mean?
Agreed.
I could take something like this that has way more use and I get intelligence.
Little
I
bonus.
love this. Anywho.
Shadow Touch. You learn how to bend shadows from your experience with the Shadow Fell.
Fuck off.
Unless you don't, and we wrote this for no reason. You gain the following benefits. Increase your
I'm
int, whiz, or cha.
No.
Score by 1 to a max of 20. You learn the darkness spell and 1 first level spell of your choice. So this is just Fey Touched.
But different flavor.
But with
It's the
darkness.
exact same thing.
Look, I love darkness. I love the idea. I didn't say this before, but I actually quite enjoy like what you were talking about with the racial spellcasting. Like elves can have Misty Step and stuff like that, or whoever the fuck. I love it. Again, int, whiz, cha, don't need it. This is a good spell. You don't need the little bump in my opinion.
It's the same exact it's the same exact thing as Fey Touch, just reflavored with illusion and necromancy instead of enchantment divination. Just
However,
remove the ASI and we're fine.
I don't love that it's illusion or necromancy.
See, I actually enjoyed that for first level. What do you get?
I don't mind it, but like, let me rephrase. It's not a problem for the feat. I just hate it.
You wouldn't
because
choose
it's
it.
just
Don't
gonna
like
be,
those schools?
No, it's gonna be like, I got death, whatever it is.
I have ray of sickness.
4 minutes, we gotta go. Shield training.
God!
You've trained
We're
in the
fine.
effective use of shields. You gain the following benefits. Strength, Dex, Con by 1, maximum of 20. You gain proficiency with shields. In combat, you can don or doff a shield as the free object interaction on your turn. If you have the spellcasting or pack magic feature, you can use a shield as a spellcasting focus. Love it.
Here for all of it.
Slasher.
Here for all of it.
Slasher.
Also, it's so good. I want to talk more, but it's fine. Just move on.
It's really good. Captain America, you've Slasher. Yes. You've learned where to cut to have the greatest results, granting you the following benefits. Increase your strength dex by 1 to a maximum of 20. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals slashing damage, you can reduce the speed of the target by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. Cut
Love
them hammies. When you score a critical
Love it.
hit that
Bust your
deals
sword.
slashing damage, critical hit, you grievously wound it. Until the start of your next turn, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls.
Love it.
Here.
Love it. Here for it.
Cut it in twain.
Axes and swords now do something different.
Amazing. Two
Granted,
more feats.
I wish there was a difference between axes and swords in this.
That's true.
But that's okay.
Tandem Tactician. Your presence in a scrap tends to elevate your comrades. You gain the following benefits. You can use the Help action as the bonus action. When you use the Help action to aid an ally in attacking a creature, increase the range of the Help action by 10 feet. Additionally, you can help 2 allies targeting the same creature within range when you use the Help action this way. This is the only reason to play a Mastermind, and they got rid of it. Cool.
Correct.
I don't mind that because the Mastermind kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's my only thing with it. I love it because I love the idea of tacticians because I'm a Fire Emblem boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mastermind is a pointless class.
Well, the Mastermind has a range of 30 feet on the help, right?
It does.
So this would effectively increase your range to 40, and you could help 2 people at once with it.
Right. Yeah. But I would not spend a feat on that, especially with my poor understated Nikolai boy. When I already took
sweet
Prodigy
lad.
and Actor as feats. I am no stranger to absolutely non-mechanical feats. Tracker. This is the last feat. We have 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
We're
Let's
so fine.
take it real slow.
Well, let's not get
You
cocky.
have spent time hunting creatures and honed your skills, gaining the following benefits.
Joe, get your shit together. Come on.
Increase your wisdom score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You learn the Hunter's Mark spell. You can cast it once without expending a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way again. You can also cast it using any spell slots you just already have. Wisdom is the ability for this spell. You have advantage on wisdom survival checks to track creatures. Just give this to hunters.
This is what you take if your DM won't let you do the revised ranger.
Yeah.
To make your ranger better.
Useful.
But also, druids.
True.
I can Hunter's Mark, go into animal shape, and I get D6 damage on everything I do.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
dope.
Like, this lets me as a druid not have to think about multiclassing into a hunter to pick up some of that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Which I love.
I like
love this. It's only one spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cool. Give me that ASI.
Yeah, give me the ASI. I only get the one
And
spell.
you let me access a spell that, like, you can't access unless you're a hunter, unless you're a ranger.
And I have advantage on
Or a
specific
paladin.
survival specific survival checks.
Correct.
Also, it's like a job. Like, this is a job
This
that
is
a
my
character
job.
might have had.
This is Aragorn.
This is Strider.
This is Geraldo of Rivera.
Jerry
here for
Seinfeld of Rivia. Guys, we did that entire UA with 50 seconds to spare.
Hey, guys,
Oh.
shield training. I'm going to go back to it.
Do it,
Give
please.
it, give it.
Here's the thing that I love about this. In combat, you can don or doff a shield as a free object interaction on your turn, which means I can make my two-handed attack and put my shield up before the enemy gets to make their attack.
Yeah.
If you start without your shield.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean, like, it's a one-time use thing, but it's not I gotta necessarily pick and choose. Right.
You essentially get to
I still
alternate.
get my bonus action too.
Yeah.
If I have a Misty Step, if I have something that I can do on my bonus actions, I can link together a full turn. Right. If I use Action Surge as a fighter, I can take my shield down, attack twice, put my shield back up. Anywho, that's it.
Yeah.
Better.
There it is.
Well done, Andrew.
There it is.
Man, this isn't useful, so I won't say it. But what you just described is essentially when you parry somebody in Dark Souls, switch to a different weapon to do more damage, and then stab them.
100%. Yeah. But it's like that's so cool that you're making shields. I would have rather seen like your AC is a 3.
I'd rather say you
or a
throw
4.
it. Just throw it.
He's fucking Captain America fanboy.
Something cool, like and weird.
Shields can do damage. I'm still
Shield
waiting
bash.
for that.
Yeah,
I'm still
for a shield
waiting
bash
for
move.
like a.
Oh my god.
You have a shield bash in the shield that's published.
What is that?
It doesn't do damage, but you can move them.
Oh,
5 feet, right?
Shield
Like,
Master.
Yeah, you can hit someone with shield.
What about a bonus action attack that only deals your strength modifier?
Love it.
And imposes disadvantage on their next attack.
Please.
I love it.
Like that doesn't seem overpowered.
I would say con save.
Okay,
yeah,
like so just like
it does. If you hit, it does the damage, and then if you hit, they make a con save to see if it does.
Do you agree though
that
that
scales on your con.
Yeah, the scales on your con. It's just like Battlemaster maneuver type stuff.
It's just talk to your DM. Most of these unearthed arcana problems can be solved by just like sitting down and being like, "Hey, I have this idea. Can I run it? And what would it be?" It's the truth. Like you don't need most unearthed arcana if you just sit down and talk.
most of our problems can be solved if we just
Shut
sit
up.
down and talk.
Just breathe.
I want a dual wielding shield character. that,
Two shields.
That like hits with a shield. That's like basically a guardian character. I want that character so bad, but it's so not feasible because like the AC of shields doesn't stack, which it should.
Right.
Why would you not have +4 AC from 2 shields?
Get behind me, my friend.
But like, yeah, why wouldn't you shield more? I've never understood the shields not stacking other than people being like, I strap shields to my leg and to my back. Like, but like at that point, that's a DM go, fuck no, like get out. You know what I mean? Or you're at disadvantage on everything.
You have half movement speed and disadvantage on everything.
And
you've got
you're
+10
taking,
AC, I guess, but
you're taking poison damage from the iron.
And also Cthulhu knows where you are.
also, and he's coming.
As a DM, you can do anything. But like, if I'm not wielding a weapon, why can't I have a +4 to my AC?
Why not?
Right.
Well, like, if I'm not actively doing anything in combat, but like being a tactics master and shielding people,
You're a Wobbuffet.
if I'm
You
here,
are Wobbuffet.
if my character is like, is the bodyguard for a wizard,
Right.
and I just stand there and impose myself between the enemy, that's so much fun, man. That's so cool.
Last thoughts about Unearthed Arcana 2020 feats?
I think
Actually,
that there's a bunch of good stuff.
There's actually a lot of good stuff. There's just some things that you're like, why?
I give this an 86%. That's a solid B.
That's
a solid B.
That's not bad
Granted,
at all.
I feel like it would be better to judge them each on their own merits.
I
Like,
give every
Chef
single
is 100.
Chef's
Chef's
an A.
100.
Chef's got like a 105.
Chef's A+.
They did extra credit.
Chef's the kid in the group project that actually did the work.
Yeah.
And then you have fucking Eldritch Adept, who's like the hot kid in school.
He's just
that,
like, yeah,
was
no,
like, hey chef, can I sit next to you in class? As they are on the page.
Yeah. My parents are out of town this weekend and they said we can use the pool. Do you want to come over and have tentacles?
Do you like my fingerless gloves? Do you like my fingerless gloves and guy liner?
Did the cool kids have fingerless gloves in your
only
do in Pretty
only
in
the
Pink.
coolest.
I mean, Breakfast Club. Shut up.